In this video, I'm going to show you how to find the exact location of your hip joint in your own body. And if you know the exact location of your hip joint and you can feel yourself moving through that location, pain disappears from your body and your athletic performance in any sport improves dramatically. I'm Christa with The Intelligent Body. And to find the location of your hip joints, first you take your two fingers and you point on your body to where you think your actual hip joints are. And if you're like most of us, you're gonna point somewhere out here, the part that we can feel, or up here. But the exact location of your hip joints is far more narrow than that, and you are in for a treat. So to find them, you touch your navel and you bring your finger down, 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 down until you run into bone. And what you are running into is this bone on both sides called the pubic symphysis. And as you move your hips, you will feel how the pubic symphysis moves. Bring your fingers along the crease so you can lift and lower your knee and you'll feel the crease. Bring your fingers along the crease, and the next thing that you run into will be the front of your femur head. Your thigh bone is called a femur. This is the femur head. So you go along the crease and you'll be like, well, I'm not really sure. And you keep bringing your fingers wider along the crease and you'll run out of something hard. You'll just be feeling tissue. And bring your fingers back at a diagonal toward the center of your body, and what you will run into is your hip joints. Drum roll, please. So you are now touching this very front edge of your hip joint. Breathe. Let your arms shake out and bend. Bring your fingers back to your femur head location. And bend and picture the femur head going back as you bend, as your knee goes forward. And when you rise up, the femur head comes forward. So do that a couple times and just get used to that point is the pivot point where you want to bend. It's quite common to bend and keep the hips forward, which creates pain. The more that you can let the crease happen at your hip joints, the better you will feel. The more coordinated and springy you will be in all sports. Take a little walk and picture your legs swinging from this incredibly narrow location. And notice how that feels. It usually feels different because most of us thought our hip joints were out here in the part that we can feel more easily. And so now you have the location of your hip joints, which is the first piece of embodiment. But there's one more important thing. You can touch this very front section, but look how deep that hip joint is. So in your mind, go back. So you're touching the front of your hip joint, and in your mind, go back, whatever you think, just experiment. And picture that the pivot point of your femur head in the socket is behind where you can touch. So you're gonna bend and straighten and picture that the place where the movement originates and the place where the weight transfers from your upper body to the lower body is just behind where you can touch. Take a walk and picture the legs swinging from that space right behind where you can touch. Notice how that feels to walk and let your legs swing from that place that's truly underneath you. I promised you that knowing where your hip joint was and picturing it, which is called embodiment, would help you with sports as well as with pain reduction. So whatever sport you do a version of it right now. Jump and feel yourself jumping through your hip joints. Run through that middle of your hip joints. Lift weights and picture the middle of your hip joint lifting your body. When you get your weight over your hip joints, it puts your weight over the front part of your pelvic floor, which strengthens the muscles that wrap around your torso and lengthen your spine. When you have your weight behind your hip joints, it puts the weight in the back of the pelvic floor, which compresses the pelvic floor and strengthens the muscles which compress your spine. So find the hip joints and the front of your pelvic floor, and you will feel more embodied in your pelvis. If you want my personalized help getting out of pain with injury recovery or improving your sport, use the link below to set up a time to meet with me. I hope you enjoy your hip joints.